Hello, and welcome to a new edition of Demo Divas. We are on at a new day, a new time. We are closer to our former ADH Divas time slot. Um, we all have new schedules, busier lives than once we once started, so we are now adjusting. But Kylie, how are you? It's been a while since we've been on the same show together. I think it's been like 3 weeks
Yeah.
or something
Yeah,
crazy.
I've been traveling. I went to AW Revolution. The very next weekend I went to Atlanta for GCW. I've been doing a lot, but it's so good to be back. I missed Jaychele. I missed the show. I
I
miss
miss you
being here.
too. We miss Haley too. We send our
Yeah.
wishes to Haley as well. Um, I'm I'm supposed to go to Boston for their Dynamite show,
Hmm.
and then that same weekend I have accepted Students Day for my number one school, which is also in Boston. So I'm driving down just to drive, well, driving up to drive back down to drive back up again on that weekend. So that's great. So it's gonna be annoying, but anyhow, because life can never work out in my favor.
Of course not.
Do you want to start with GCW since you were there? I feel like we can start
Yeah.
with that match because okay. And when I found out about this match, I think I was live on the air with like a late night Grin show or something like that. I don't remember what it was. I think it was a
Hmm.
Revolution like post show that we were doing, and I saw this match announced, and I was fucking freaking out. At GCW Astronaut, which was their Atlanta, Georgia show, we saw Jordynne Grace take on Allie Katch, and this was one of Jordynne Grace's last matches of the indie circuit for this year, basically, until she decides to return. What were your thoughts on this match? What was your reaction to it? It seemed like the internet also reacted very positively to this as well.
Yeah, it was a really great match. I think the crowd in Atlanta was loudest for this match just because everyone was so into it. And there were people cheering for Jordynne Grace, there were people cheering for Allie Katch, and they really showed up. There were some great spots. I don't think I've ever seen Allie Katch wrestle this well. And it was really nice to see her do a serious match. Not that I love Bussy and I love all that stuff, but it was really nice to see her remind us that she still is an incredible wrestler.
Yeah, this was a really good showing for her. Like, I guess technically, every time I talk about like Allie Katch, people always have like these little comments about her wrestling or whatever it may
Mm-hmm.
be. And I feel like here she really proved them wrong. I was extremely like engaged without like throughout this whole match. Sorry. Um I feel like it was definitely one of her best showings for me as well. I love Allie and I love Jordynne, so it was great to see that. I think it was also great to see an actual women's match on a GCW card. We get that
Yes.
so rarely. Like we had the Allie and Rosa match, but like that's what once every 2 months. That was like 2 months ago now. So like
Yeah.
I'm very excited that we're like able to have these matches, and hopefully this becomes more regular. Um, but
The
obviously they
crowd
did
was really into it.
yeah, they did take advantage of the opportunity because Jordynne does live in Atlanta. But I was very proud and very engaged throughout this whole outing. Um, and I think that the reason that we don't get that as much is because Allie has no problem like working the guys and wrestling with the guys, so it just
Yeah.
works. But like even like when we get like Allie versus Chelsea 1-on-1, like stuff like that is super special. Um, and I think that whole GCW card had a lot of different dimensions, like with
It was a
like
good show.
it was a really good show, yeah,
Yeah.
because they always have like GCW offers many different styles of wrestling to bring many
Hmm.
different audiences in. So like they had like it was what Deppen and ACH on that card as well. There was Blake Christian, Jonathan Gresham on there also, and then they just had a fucking wild match in the Hate Club versus Second Gear Crew, which is great as well.
It was so
Um,
good.
yeah, but this match really stole the show for me. Really stole the weekend, to be honest.
Hmm.
Um, I'm kind of sad Jordan's not going to be working indies as much anymore because I love her indie stuff a lot. Um, yeah, any final thoughts on this match or this matchup or women's wrestling in GCW at all?
I really hope we get more stuff like this because there were a lot of really great near falls that I bought into.
Yeah.
And I think that just acting and character work from both of them was incredible. And I really think Allie needs to be in this position again where she's, serious and, showing her technical side and her creativity. And Bussy is great, and I love Allie, I love Effie. But I think women's wrestling in GCW, if it's really going to get off the ground, it really needs to be more like this.
Yeah, and Katch went over, and that was a really important
Hmm.
thing for me. I wasn't honestly, I wasn't expecting Katch to go over
Me
really.
either.
I kind of thought that it was just gonna be Jordynne's match, but Jordynne went over. No, Jordynne took the pin in both of her matches, which I was very excited to see and very grateful for. I love Jordynne's current work, and I feel like she's a great fit for GCW, especially when you're trying to build more women's matches because I feel like their thing is like, oh, we don't have to have women's matches because they work the guys, but that's not
It's not
always.
the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different. So I was very excited to see this match. I hope that they do more, like you said as well. And I feel like with working with like Mission Pro and stuff like that in the collective, I feel like I do have more opportunities to like take that avenue.
Hmm.
I think like doing a show with Mission Pro in Texas would be great. Like you can put Thunder Rose on the card, utilize Kylan King, like the Renegade Twins. Like I think it would be perfect. I hope that they explore that partnership more.
I agree.
Okay. Do you want to talk about AEW next and just move to Thunder Rosa, or do you want to talk about NXT and stuff?
We we should, let's save Thunder Rosa for last. Let's give her the main event spot.
Okay, let's do that.
Let's
That
talk
works.
about that NXT show.
Oh God, you want to talk about NXT? People don't normally want to talk about NXT.
I mean, I
Uh,
mean, do I want to talk about it, or am I just morbidly curious?
that's fair. We'll talk about it. Um, okay, I actually watched this last episode of NXT.
Hmm.
I'm actually like watching that program now, mainly because I cover it for writing and stuff, not because I
Yeah.
enjoy it. But anywho, they do have the finals of the Dusty Cup tournament coming up. So that's gonna be Dakota Kai and Wendy Chu versus Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray for the Dusty Cup Championship Cup or whatever. Um, so once again, two made up tag teams because they need tag teams. And they also have Cora Jade is going to be facing Mandy Rose for the NXT Championship, and yeah, they are doing a thing with Nikita Lyons and Lash Legend, but I don't want to talk about Nikita Lyons, especially after what I saw from her today. So pass.
Yeah, NXT, it wasn't something that I watched every week. I would watch highlights or whatever. And the one time I decide that I'm going to watch it, they put on this show, which was just over sexualized to me. I understand that it was storytelling and, you know, whatever. But man, the NXT women's division is suffering.
The thing is, I love Indy Hartwell. Like she's an actually good
Oh,
wrestler. Like she's very good, and I just don't know why she's being subjected to this. How did we get here, dude? Like,
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Like all these women in NXT are so very talented and they could
there's
do
so
anything.
much kissing in pro wrestling now. I'm not understanding it. Like, Jade's kissing people. They're kissing people in NXT. Tony D is kissing people. There
I
was
don't
more
know.
kisses. People were kissing on other shows too, and I'm forgetting now.
Well, at least in Jade's defense, it's not like everyone in AW is kissing everyone.
Yeah,
In
yeah, yeah.
NXT, it feels like everyone's just hooking up with each other, and that's our story. It's weird.
I mean, it's high school, right?
It's Degrassi vibes. It really is.
I just don't. I don't understand how we got to Persia and Duke being together. I think I might have missed something there. Like, I
I
don't.
I don't know. I really trying to keep up with this brand is impossible. I feel like the NXT 2.0 rebrand. Well, I think it's been a detriment to NXT. I think that's pretty undeniable that this is not as good as Black and Gold NXT. But for the women especially, it's crazy. It's like every week they're doing something different, but they're always like sexy or weird.
You see their champions?
Poor Jaychele.
They got locked in a cage in a dumpster. And then Cora tried to go in Mandy's car, which was left unlocked. Who leaves their car unlocked, especially an expensive? Who has their keys in the? Anywho, and Mandy Rose was in the back of the car and spray painted Cora Jade. What are we doing, dude? Also,
I don't
Cora
know.
Jade was walking around with white spray paint to spray on Mandy Rose's white car.
It's so juvenile. The way that these women are. I don't know what goes on in NXT. I don't know who's writing this or how, I don't know
Shawn
if the women
Michaels.
are involved at all, but it's so teenager. It's like we're 15 and we all just got our learner's permits and we're just going to go hog wild on the streets because why not?
You saw Braun Breaker with this car?
I'm so over Braun Breaker, but that's.
No,
I'm sorry.
I was not expecting that.
I think I'm just over WWE, especially for the women. I'm just done. To
Aren't
be
you excited
honest,
for Cody and Brandy?
listen, I'm never gonna shame someone for going and getting paid because you know we live in a capitalist society. Go get your money, especially if you're Brandy, Cody, whatever, but Brandy especially.
We're talking about Brandy here. It's a women's wrestling show.
Yeah, I don't know if Brandy's gonna be wrestling.
Very true.
I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know. I don't even know if she's going to WWE. All we've really heard about is Cody. But if anyone is going to be taken seriously, it's going to be Brandy just because they have to, because she's a former executive for AEW. And if they treat her poorly, then no other women are ever going to jump ship. And I know they want Jade. So they can't drop the ball with her. But at the same time, I don't think that they think they're dropping the ball with these women in NXT and the women on the main roster. I think that they think this is good women's wrestling.
I think that they think that they think. Yeah, I feel bad for like the Kaylee Rays, the Io Shirai's, like those like veterans who are like still there, like Dakota Kai as well, um, who can wrestle. Like
Yeah.
Wendy Chu, I like her style of wrestling. I like that she's versatile, and I feel like that works to her benefit in this version of NXT. But I still feel really bad for her because she's literally walking around with a cup and like she's sleeping all the time.
Yeah.
I just
It doesn't work. And a lot of these women are, like you said, they're very talented and they can. This isn't like 1999 where women do 5-minute matches and most of them aren't trained wrestlers. This is like we've progressed to a point where a lot of female wrestlers are better than male wrestlers. And that's the case in NXT. And I don't understand why they're being treated like this when they're workhorses and they can do 30-minute main events and do it well. And they've proven that because a lot of them we just saw in Black and Gold NXT not that long ago. So I don't know why all of a sudden we're acting like this is good storytelling for women's wrestling. It's not, and it never has been.
Even like I've been like kind of learning more about like Elektra Lopez recently. I'm not too sure why, but like I saw some of her indie work and she can go. She's a really good wrestler, but she's deduced to this Legado del Fantasma like manager kind of situation where all she does is really just stand there and look pretty and have a couple of lines about sex.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Like this wasn't acceptable in 1999 and it's not acceptable now, but at least then you had an excuse that there weren't a lot of women being trained to be wrestlers in North America, I should say. But now it's like at this point, the main roster, there's no one coming into the main roster that would help. If they're going to be the same there at NXT 2.0, there's no hope for the entirety of WWE's women's division.
Do you want to talk about the women's tag titles on the main roster?
Do you want to talk about Rok-C first?
Oh, that makes more sense. Yeah. Talk about Rok-C.
Yeah, so Rok-C, it's official. She signed to WWE NXT. Her and Cora Jade, I think, are some of the brightest young stars. We're talking under 25s. But at the same time, I'm worried about women going to WWE because of the way that they'll be treated in NXT. And my hope was when all the rumors were swirling that Rok-C was going to WWE, I was hoping that she'd be main roster because she was, Ring of Honor Women's Champion. She had this great track record. She has a lot of fans. But no, she's going to NXT. And, like I said, I never shame someone for getting paid. Like, go get paid, especially if you're a wrestler and especially if you're a woman. But this entire company is taking a huge backslide.
Well, my thing is, honestly, I would have rather her go to WWE than to go to AEW, honestly. Especially with how young she is right now. One, this was her dream. She always wanted to become a WWE superstar. Go for that. Two, if they do mess her up, she's 20. She got time. Say she signs
Yeah,
a 3 year contract, a 5 year contract. She still walks out having time. You know what I mean?
that's fair.
Um, but also, I feel like if she were to go to AEW, I think she'd be stuck in like maybe like an AQA position where she's like just working darks and stuff like that. And like, especially with the amount of time right now, even if they do sign more female wrestlers, I don't know how much time they're gonna get on TV. Like even like with the Kris Stat, Layla Hirsch, and Red Velvet storyline, we get one storyline, one match on Dynamite, one storyline, one match on Rampage, and that's it. And
Hmm.
I need more from that, especially like with the Rok-C. I want to see her on TV pretty regularly, which means at least 2 matches or segments, like well, full segments that include women. Like I don't see the reason why we can't have like an opening promo, like how they did Punk and MJF. Why can't you do that with 2 women?
I don't know. And with the Ring of Honor acquisition in AW, I'm concerned because Ring of Honor doesn't, within the last few years, doesn't have a good track record with women's wrestling. And before they folded a few months ago, they were on an upswing, and Rok-C was a big part of that. And I'm concerned because Ring of Honor, rumors are going around. It's going to have weekly television. Is it going to be AW's NXT? Is it going to be its own separate thing? I am concerned that they're just going to take the women and put them there, like out of sight, out of mind. Like I was talking um, with a friend earlier, and
Plug your show. Plug it.
plug it. Okay, well, bodyslam.net, Code of Honor podcast, we're talking all things Ring of Honor. We started it before TK bought it. So the direction of the show was changed from its original intention, but whatever. It's good. And we are concerned, and I think this is something a lot of fans feel, that Ring of Honor is going to become like the AW reject playground. And it does feel like a lot of the women are Tony Khan's rejects. And I don't want it to be like Serena Deeb's 5-minute challenge where we just find an excuse to get them on TV and get them off. And
I hate that so much. That's the vein of my existence. I'm so glad that's done now.
yeah, I think Ring of Honor needs its own women's division, and I think it needs its own everything. I think it needs to be completely separate from AEW, and we have crossover, and that's it. Fingers crossed, though.
I feel like they have a really unique opportunity. I feel like you bring in some of the people who are already in Ring of Honor, Janai Kai,
Mhm.
Willow Nightingale, Trisha Dora,
Yeah,
and you let them still work there and, of course, work indies as well. But I think that some of those women can utilize Ring of Honor. Like, I feel like send Red Velvet there every now and then to get some tune-up matches and to
yeah,
work with some women. But like if you're gonna send women there and they stay there for a very long period of time, I'm going to get extremely upset because I feel like they are
exactly.
too, because they're gonna be like, I signed a contract to AEW, not a contract to Ring of Honor, which is a very
Exactly.
fair point. So people start to get upset about that. I wouldn't blame them.
And it depends on where Ring of Honor is going to be. We know there's going to be weekly episodes, but is it going to be on YouTube where they'll get a lot of exposure? Is it going to be on Honor Club where no one has Honor Club? Honor Club is unusable. It's a horrible platform. And if I'm a woman and they're just shoving us all onto Ring of Honor and we're on Honor Club, then what's the point of being there? You'd be better off in NXT 2.0 because at least you get exposure. And then
Mm-hmm.
if you leave, then you can, you'll be an indie star and you'll get tons of bookings. So AW and WWE have a lot of work to do, and it's so disheartening. And I will say, AW has come a long way. We have multiple women's stories happening. We just need more matches that aren't on dark.
And maybe I shouldn't say this. Maybe I'll get some heat for this, but tie up that Serena and Sheeta feud, please. I need that to be done, my dude. We're on 5. Like,
Mhm.
in all reality, not to be like that, but if this was WWE and okay, they're having good matches, but the story isn't progressing much, people would be upset. And
You're
they're
right.
just okay with this because one, it's the women's division in AEW. Two, they're having better than average matches for what they would consider the women's division to look like. And they're on TV. So they're like, oh,
Yeah.
problems are solved. But like 5 matches? 5 matches. Do you know how many rematches that is? That means you had 4 rematches off the first match. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think they need to bring in someone else for Deeb to feud with. Because this feud, I've enjoyed it, but I'm getting, like you said, I'm getting to the point where it's tiring. And Sheeta's back now. She was gone. It's whatever. But I don't need the 5-minute challenge anymore. Unless you're going to bring in a surprise, then I'll be fine with that. And I don't need her with Sheeta anymore. They're both too good to be stuck feuding with each other, especially when we have so many young women who need stronger people to feud with.
You know what makes sense is like carry the momentum that you have now. So put Layla Hirsch with Cheetah,
Yeah.
and then put Serena with Kris Stat.
Yeah.
And they would have amazing matches too, and you won't have to do the same matches 5 times.
And it makes sense to us, but for some reason it doesn't make sense to them. I just don't understand why we get in this place, and I'm all for long-term storytelling, but I don't understand why we get in this place with AW's women's division where our stories are long-term, but it's just because we're having the same match all the time. And then the women go on dark and they get their win back. So like no one's records are really changing. And the only time there's a change in the rankings, like a big change in the rankings, is if someone's going to get a title shot. And then they build up a bunch of wins on dark and we don't see them a lot on Dynamite. And it's just so confusing because this is not the way the men are booked. This is not the way the tag division is booked. And I just don't understand why we're in this place where this is what we settle for. And there's been progress. I will give them that. But come on.
Yeah, I don't know how pick my words wisely. This is not excusable. And I feel like if they do bring in Athena, like whether it's through Jade's challenge or whatever, people are going to start to see, okay, maybe they're not doing what they promised, and maybe they're not fulfilling the same promises that they are like for the men. Like if we look at the current women's division, they've signed what? AQA, Paige Van Zant.
Yeah, I'm excited for her though.
I am excited for her as well.
I think she'll be good for that for AW.
I'm trying to think within like the last like 6 months or so. AQA, Paige Van Zant.
Would you count Ruby Soho?
That's before my 6 months period.
Yeah.
I'm thinking because in the last 6 months they've signed Buddy Matthews, Brody King,
William
Swerve,
Regal,
Keith Lee, William Regal, kind of Brian Kendrick.
Ooh.
Sorry.
And they're probably going to sign other people. They're probably going to sign, Cesaro,
Right.
whatever he goes by now. And there's so many good female free agents or just indie talent you could bring in for a little bit. And I don't understand why they aren't, especially when the women's division is so light. And when Sheeta was gone, why didn't you just bring in someone for a little bit to feud with Deeb instead of the stupid 5-minute challenge where nothing came of it?
Why couldn't you bring in a Willow Nightingale or Allie Katch or like, just put them in those like prominent positions? Remember when Eddie Kingston went on TV and he was like, "Can we get Willow Nightingale and Kris Stat out here, like 2 women fighting?" Like,
yeah, Willow Nightingale is good and she's improved immensely in the last, I'd say, year. She's gotten so good. And
she's over too. Like,
yeah. Why? And I think people excuse AEW, one, because they like AEW. They enjoy watching it. And 2, because they like the women, their characters. And they really buy into that. Like, they love Jade. They love Layla. They love Kris Statlander. And I think they think that because they're likable characters and they're over, that it doesn't matter how it's booked, or they're willing to overlook, serious issues in the booking. And that's part of the reason why there's been so little progress. Like when AW first started, people complained about the women's division a lot more. And now that it's really filled out and we have fully fleshed out characters and stories, people are just like, okay, why? Especially after Britt's win. They were like, okay, well, we liked Britt and she did this heel turn and we really liked that. And now she's champion. So obviously AW's women's division is well booked. And it's not the case.
Britt sucks.
I enjoyed Britt, but I really hope that she goes to Ring of Honor for a little bit, just for a cool off, and she can do something with like Deanna.
Or, Britt, can you go to Ring of Honor for me, and then work some super workers, and then maybe learn how to sell a little bit, and then we'll be good to go. Because the no selling, good lord. I feel like her reign stopped working for me after All Out happened. I was like, okay, maybe this isn't working for me too much anymore.
And in her defense, she wasn't ever given a story to latch onto because they were waiting for Thunder Rosa.
Yeah.
And they, for some reason, that means she can't have any good feuds in the middle. Even though Hangman Page became champion, has already had a bunch of good feuds in the middle.
What feuds has Jade had?
Besides Ty.
I mean, was that even really a feud? They cut like two promos and she kissed her on the head.
No, basically Jade just shows up and smart Mark Sterling is like, here's who Jade wants to wrestle now. Like, and then she cuts a promo on them and then that's her feuds.
Even when Sammy was champion, he was feuding with Cody. He also had the AT&T feud and all that stuff. Cody was feuding with Sammy. Miro constantly had feuds,
Yeah.
And boo, disappointing, boo, disappointing.
And see, the thing with Jade is that they're building up this streak and that she's so dominant and there's no one who can stop her. But at a certain point, she's going to beat everyone on the roster. So there's only so much you can do after that. So what's the deal with that? Like, you can't really put her in a story because no one's going to believe it unless it's someone really big. And there's no one really big.
A long-term plan for that, even like
for Jade?
Yeah,
I hope so. I hope there's something.
There has to be. It has to be like Kris Stat or something, right?
That was my thought with her character change and sort of this redirection, because if there's really no one who can. Like, if you look at top people in the women's division, it's Thunder Rosa. She can't because she's champ. Britt Baker, she can't because her versus Jade would be a nightmare because they're both heels and they thrive on being mean. So, like, what's the point? It can't be Layla. It can't be Serena Deeb. It can't be Shida. It can't be Riho. It can't be Yuka Sakazaki. It can't be Nyla Rose.
Oh, she beat Ruby Soho already too. So yeah, that was like, the other good option.
So like, what are they doing? And I'm a fan of the streak. I love that she's so dominant and that she's so good. My worry is that she'll feud with like Red Velvet, and then Red Velvet will win, and then the streak will be for nothing because she's beaten Red Velvet a ton. And I love Red Velvet, but that's my fear, is that it's all going to be for nothing, and we're going to buy into it like we always do, and they'll just...
You know what I'm going to start saying on Twitter if that happens? I'm going to be like, that Roman Reigns shit. People are going to hate me, but I'm going to say it because it'll be true. If that's actually what happens, because Roman's feud is going to amount to nothing. So, I mean, his reign is going to amount to nothing. So,
don't even get me started on the Roman thing. I am so annoyed.
Okay, then let's talk about... Let's finish up with WWE before we fully go back to AEW, since we want to close with Rosa and everything like that. Naomi and Sasha and the tag title picture. How are you feeling about the tag title match heading into WrestleMania? So far, we have Naomi and Sasha taking on Liv and Rhea, taking on Natalya and Shayna Baszler, taking on the champions, Carmella and Zelina.
I think this is the most I've enjoyed the women's tag division since the titles were introduced. And I think that's due not in part, I think that's due to Naomi and Sasha.
Yeah.
I think I've really enjoyed them together, and I love that Naomi is getting this opportunity to be, perceived on Sasha's level. I've always thought Naomi was on Sasha's level. I've always thought that she should have been in the Horsewomen, but maybe that's for another time. But I love
podcast.
I love that she's in these circles now with, the main event women. And I really hope, if she doesn't get the tag titles with Sasha, I really hope something comes of this for her, because she's an invaluable part to this division now.
They have to be winning those titles. You can't put Sasha in a tag title picture and have her lose, like, especially in her WrestleMania program.
But do you remember the Boss and Hug connection and when the titles were first introduced? Yes. Yeah, I don't think they care about Sasha as a tag wrestler. I think they want her in there to do cool spots and be flashy. And I want to think they want Naomi in there to do cool spots and be flashy because they're
I want her
super
to be an
talented.
attack.
I honestly, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll win the titles, and this would be, a good story. They'll probably make a feud of it though, if they do win. Which I'm here for, but also kind of not here for at the same time. Like, why can't we have women's tag champions that don't feud?
Right?
Like, why can't we just have a good tag division? I don't get it. Like, why do tag teams in WWE, men's and women's, why are they always enemies at the end? Like, why can't we just have good, sustained tag teams?
Well, the Street Profits are doing good. God bless the Street Profits. I hope they win at Mania.
Street Profits and the New Day and the Usos. That's it.
Well, sometimes, I mean, the New Day, they kind of always like each other. They kind of just aren't allowed to talk to each other sometimes.
And the Vikings.
Oh, that's for now. That has to be ending soon. I feel like they can't keep that going for too long.
Man, I don't know.
Oh, God. Anywho, I feel like they have to take advantage of Sasha because I feel like if Sasha doesn't like something, she's not going to be doing it right now. And I feel like if she, I feel like if she, I guess, like almost approved the decision to work in the tag division, I feel like they have to have something of substance there for her, whether like she approved it or she decided to work in the tag division, either or. Because I feel like you're not just gonna put Sasha in whatever, because she will leave again. But I feel like they have to have some sort of plan in place when it comes to her. Like if you look at what she did last year, I feel like she's gonna know her worth now, and not be afraid to say something about it. So I hope that's the case with this. How do you feel about the Rhea and Liv tag team?
I'm into it because I'm really into them as wrestlers, and I like that they're involved in this sort of mass feud of all these women.
Mm-hmm.
My issue with it is that they don't fit. They don't wrestle the same. There's no like element really tying them together character-wise or story-wise. And to me, that also screams we're gonna feud in the future. And I don't like that this division is used as a vehicle for feuds that ultimately don't pan out well. Like I don't think, in terms of main roster feuds, I think, Ronda Rousey and Charlotte, that's And I think Becky Bianca is their best feud, just because there's so much story there. But everything else just kind of falls to the wayside. Like if it doesn't make WWE millions and millions of dollars, they don't care. And Rhea, Liv, they're over, but they've never been given sort of the support of a Charlotte or a Ronda or a Becky. So they don't make millions and millions of dollars by feuding. So they just fall to like the pre-show. And I don't like these belts being used in that way because I think it makes them less valuable, and it means that WWE pays less attention to the division. And two, I don't like that they're going to be treated that way, especially with how they were both on the up and now they're just not. It is so annoying.
All I can say about this is that I'm happy that they're at least on Mania, which it feels like an extremely low bar, but at least we cleared that. At least they're on Mania.
This Mania is rough. It is rough. This is a bad card. And if you tell me this is a good card, you're wrong.
I always said before that like WWE cleans up their act around Mania time. This year, I was wrong. Last year's Mania had some like shining diamonds. Like they had Sami KO, which happened last minute, mind you. They had Seth and Cesaro, which kind of also happened last minute, mind you.
But what a match.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like sometimes
it's like, sorry, go ahead.
I feel like sometimes what you think about when you watch Mania's back is like, okay, this is a good match, but I don't really remember the story. And like sometimes it's okay to have matches like that. Like Bianca, Sasha, amazing match. Story build wasn't too strong, but like you need to at least have some good stories, especially when your main event sucks ass.
Yeah, and here it's like Charlotte and Ronda and Brock and Roman, and then everybody else is just there. It's like Celebrity Central. Like all the celebrities decided to show up for this WrestleMania, I guess. And there's such a lack of depth to this card, especially for the women. I have no idea what went wrong. I'm glad that we have the tag titles because then we get to see some people that aren't, Charlotte Flair,
Yeah, we get
Ronda
to see a bunch
Rousey.
of people this year, though.
Oh my goodness. Especially within the last 2 years, they've really had a lot of great stars in the women's division, young stars who aren't the horsewomen. And the fact that it's been multiple years and they still aren't main eventing is concerning. Especially, and I'm not going to say Charlotte and Ronda Rousey are old, but they're not, because they're not. But I think it's undeniable that we are reaching a point where they will have to slow down if WWE is going to maximize their time and their value. And no Charlotte, no Ronda. Who's left? Who's at that caliber yet? And if Bianca doesn't win, if she doesn't win,
are we going to have this conversation? Because I might cry.
I think we have to. I think it's a realistic possibility. I do think Bianca's going to win. I trust that WWE will give her that, especially, forgive me, I can't remember who the interview is with, but someone interviewed Bianca and she said that Vince McMahon told her she had the total package.
Oh, yeah.
That she had the look and the style and the body and all the stuff. So I do think that they're behind her. But are they behind her the way they're behind Becky? This match is going to be so important for the future of WWE's women's division. There's one match.
It's supposed to open night 1, too. It's supposed to be the opening match of all of WrestleMania from reports and stuff like that. If they have Becky win in the opening match, it's going to go, the whole show is going to go very badly.
It is. Especially Charlotte and Ronda are on the same night, aren't they?
Yes. And people think that they're going to have Becky win so they can do the title unification match on night 2.
That won't work. People will not get behind that. This is not what... And Becky's suffering for it.
What the hell?
And Becky is suffering for it. Bianca, she shouldn't have lost the way she did on Becky's return, but that's old news. We've talked about it, endlessly. But I do think Becky and her return and her popularity has suffered because of the Bianca situation. And if Bianca doesn't get the win, yikes. Big yikes.
I think that Bianca should get the win, and then they just bring Becky back as Becky Lynch to go, the man.
Yeah, or just put her in a mid-card feud and let her chill for a little bit.
Right?
Why is she always...
Rhea Ripley. Give her Rhea Ripley, and then just let them have a cool,
Yeah, just relax. Just simmer down for a little bit. Why is she always being forced to be, number one? That's got to be a lot of pressure for her. And, not to bring it back to AEW, but the whole situation with Bianca reminds me of Britt and Thunder Rosa, where, Britt beat Thunder Rosa at Revolution just for Thunder Rosa to beat her again in, San Antonio. And now Thunder Rosa's champion, but, her win was diminished because she was beaten by Britt just 2 weeks before. And now we're in the same situation with Bianca and Becky, where it's if Bianca doesn't win, and then she going to keep feuding with Becky to get her win back? I don't understand. There's no other path to take but Bianca wins. She beats Becky. And then put her with Ronda Rousey or something. Let her have that. Give her something. Give her something.
They'll do that at SummerSlam, I think.
They have to do something for her. This women's division is not good. Huh?
SummerSlam's in July this year.
Is it?
Yeah. July 31st or 30th or 29th. One of the two. It's a late day in July. There's no August pay-per-view this year.
Oh, so we don't have a lot of time to build for SummerSlam.
We never have a lot of time to build, but they don't really give a fuck. So...
No. That's probably why this WrestleMania is so bad.
Well, can you imagine next year when we're in Hollywood and how many celebrities are going to be there?
Honestly, if Snooki's there, I'm here for it. She's a good wrestler.
That's a great sentence from Kiley. Snooki's a great wrestler.
Oh my god, do you remember? She's a good wrestler. Bad Bunny's a good wrestler. Johnny Knoxville, he take some bumps. Just have a celebrity battle royal.
He's a stiff boy. Johnny's a stiff boy.
I love him. I think I was weary of it when they said he was coming into WWE, but now I'm never leave. Just
would you take a forearm from him?
Yeah.
I would. I think he'd knock you out, Kiley.
Go for it. Honestly, it's an honor. I think he adds so much to WWE. I really do.
Who's a
I
better
really do.
who's a better celebrity to bring in? Logan Paul, Pat McAfee, or Johnny Knoxville, purely based on their wrestling ability.
I think
Don't say the wrong answer here, Kylie. There's
I
only
think
one right
Pat
answer.
McAfee is a better wrestler.
There you go.
I think that's because he knows wrestling. Johnny Knoxville just
Did you
knows
see
getting
his
beat up.
video? His like
Huh?
4 minute long video about him
Yeah,
like getting a wrestling ring when he was like in college and everything. I love that for him. Or in the NFL.
yeah. He's great. I like him. I
He is
don't
a
like
very
Logan
good.
Paul. I
Oh.
think he's annoying.
Did you see what he said? He was like, all respect due to Bad Bunny, but it won't take me as long to train as it did for him. I was like, this gonna be bad. This not gonna go well.
Oh no. And if anybody knows anything about the Paul brothers, they're kind of crazy, and it's because their dad is crazy. So I have no doubt that Logan Paul will train 18 hours a day to be a good wrestler. But I don't want him to, because I don't want him to be here.
He was at last year's Mania feuding with The Miz, and now he's besties with The Miz, and nobody said why. But that's fine.
I have no idea what's going on in this company anymore. And honestly, you know what? I'm just going to say right now, I'm going to be excited for Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. And I'm going to be excited for Becky and Bianca because the rest of this WrestleMania, I don't care about.
Are you gonna be excited for Cody Rhodes on night 2?
I mean, I should probably say I'm not the biggest Cody Rhodes fan, and it's not because he left AEW. It's because I don't enjoy him. Like, I don't like his style of storytelling.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah, I don't like his style of storytelling where it's like his own little island, like Cody Island. I didn't enjoy any of that. I think he hasn't had a good story since he got whipped on TV by, in the MJF feud.
That's a statement. Oh my god. He hasn't had a good feud or storyline since he got whipped on TV.
It's true, though. It's true.
Cody
The Anthony
Luther
Ogogo
King.
thing was a disaster, start to finish.
Oh yeah. Cody Luther King, God bless. I only like him because apparently he's good with black women. So
I mean, all the praise for that because we needed more of that in wrestling. I'm worried about him in WWE. I'm worried he'll either be Roman Reigns again, when Roman was a babyface and was beating everybody and everyone hated him. Mainly because I think WWE fans know that Cody sucked in AEW towards the end and wouldn't turn heel. Now I'm worried about Brandy because, come on.
I hope that they just troll him and he comes in as Stardust. Like, they're like, oh, we're going to sign you to this contract. You're going to get to do whatever you want. $5 million. Boom. Now you're Stardust, bitch.
Listen, what if they let him be Cody and, he can have Brandy and he can have his little dog and they're just like, they're just like that for like a month or two. And then they're like, okay, here's your program for SummerSlam. It's going to be Stardust versus like who? Butch?
Madcap Moss.
Madcap Moss. There you go. I wouldn't be mad about it. If he was Stardust again, I mean, why not?
You wouldn't be mad about it. He would be pissed.
He would be pissed, but like I would enjoy it.
That's what matters. Is Kylie enjoys it.
I mean, you could dress Brandy up as Stardust. It'd be great.
Somebody please edit that on the internet. Please make Brandy into Stardust. That'd be great. Great content.
Send it to me on Twitter.
Tag her. It's on the screen.
Yes.
Let's wrap this up and let's quickly talk about Kris before we head into the new AEW Women's Champion. How are you feeling about Kris's transformation, the whole, hopefully, kind of the closing of this Layla Hirsch and Kris Stat and Red Velvet thing?
I love the new character direction. I think she's needed it. Not that I don't love, old Kris Statlander, but sometimes it's nice to get something new. And I think this emo version of her, this like just tougher version of her.
See you later, boy.
This tougher version of her is definitely needed. And I think it's really well done how she's acting and her new mannerisms. The Layla Hirsch thing is whatever. I mean, I'm kind of over it, but
it's too long. I'm kind of done.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Kris. I hope that like this becomes all that she wants it to be. I feel like this has to be her idea to change it up also. So I'm very excited to see what she can do with it. I don't. I'm going back and forth on if I want to see her as a heel, but I feel like she's too over and like too strong as a babyface for them that they need, like for her to turn heel, especially right now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but she's showing cheeks, so good for her.
I love it. I think AW needs more of this, more character changes.
God bless her. Oh my god. I hope that like she becomes CBS champion or something so I can just like relish in the glory of her wrestling. She's an
So
amazing
good,
wrestler. We love
so
Kris
good.
Stat over here.
She's so unique in that division too.
She's out of the galaxy.
Oh, make that into a T-shirt. Someone tag Kris. Let her know.
We're demanding a lot of these people.
You know what? Someone's gonna do it. So
Somebody will probably. JJ, if you want to do that, that'd be great.
yeah.
Um, let's talk about Thunder Rosa. She is now the new AEW Women's World Champion after a cage match with Britt Baker in her hometown on Wednesday's Dynamite. How are you feeling about this title reign? How did you think about? How did you think? Wow, how did you feel about the match in general?
Well, I should just start by saying I think this should have happened at Revolution, and if it wasn't going to happen at Revolution, that match at Revolution shouldn't have happened. I think it was a foregone conclusion at this point that Thunder Rosa was winning. It's her hometown, it's a steel cage, so there's not going to be, Britt's entourage. But to me, I was still emotionally invested in the match. Like, I knew Thunder Rosa was winning, but I just wanted her to win so badly that I was buying into everything, just waiting for, her to beat Britt.
Mm-hmm.
It did feel a little rushed at the end. There was like the near fall, they went out of the ring and then they went right back in, and then it was the finish. But other than that, the match was really, really good. And I did like that the cage was bigger than the ring, so they could do stuff on the outside. I really liked that. The throwback to the tax was really good. And Thunder Rosa's reaction at the end, just so emotional, tears. Dustin Rhodes coming out, because he trains and works with the women. I think it was such a great moment. It was so well deserved. I just wish this was Revolution or Revolution didn't happen.
Yeah, I just wish Revolution didn't happen. I feel like how would I move it around? I mean, I guess you could have given Mercedes a title shot at Revolution if you would have
Yeah.
changed the story leading up to it a bit. Um, I don't know. That match felt really off for me, and I think we know why. But I think this connected more for me. I think this was a stronger match
Mm-hmm.
overall. It did feel rushed for me, which is why I think Britt probably had to no sell some stuff. At least that's why I hope she no sold some stuff. Not just like I'm gonna no sell because we gotta get these spots going. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the celebration really was the moment that we needed. But I feel like a lot of the match, I was also like you, kind of just waiting for it to happen. Um, Towards the beginning, I didn't really connect with it, but once they started doing some of the bigger spots, I appreciated it. But once again, to kind of have this conversation, um, I don't think that we need bleeding in all of these storylines to make women become over with the AEW crowd. My issue was not with the women, like I've said before on Twitter. My issue was with the fans that only get behind these women and get behind the matches once they bleed.
Yeah, I think it goes back to Britt really getting over um, because she broke her nose and was bleeding everywhere. And they have pictures of that everywhere on AW stuff. And I think at certain matches it's okay. Like who was it? It was Bunny, Penelope, Ty, and Anna Jay. The street
Mm-hmm.
fight was it, or whatever it was,
Yeah,
no
she fight.
DQ. That was great, and I thought the blood worked really well there, and I think that did a lot for those women because they were all lacking sort of that tough element to
Mm-hmm.
their character. I think it's become a thing where Britt is just expected to bleed now, and I'm worried about that because moving forward, I think it's pretty certain she's gonna feud with Jamie Hayter, or maybe have a feud in the middle and then feud with her as a big
Mm-hmm.
feud for Double or Nothing. I'm
Oh yeah.
worried. I'm worried that she's going to have trouble in matches if she isn't bleeding, if there aren't tacks, if it isn't hardcore, because people are starting to sour on her character a little bit as the mean girl, and so she needs a character redirection. She needs something for them to latch onto that isn't hardcore wrestler Britt Baker.
Yeah, I need a character redirection, like you're saying. I think that would make sense for me.
Yeah, and I did like in the cage match that they brought in Aubrey Edwards, like the conspirator, because they did introduce that conspiracy against Britt Baker, and then they didn't really do anything with it. And Aubrey Edwards was the OG conspirator. So I would love to see them just go with the conspiracy thing and let her have that for a month or two, and just let her feud with people that she thinks are conspirators against her, and she can really rebuild herself. And
You
Thunder
could
Rosa
even
can
put
go off and do
Jamie
big
in that.
other things. Yeah, yeah, you could do a lot with that, and I think you can start it with Aubrey Edwards. Not that Aubrey should wrestle. No, I don't need that. Oh God, no. But you could start it with her, and Thunder Rosa can do bigger and better things. Britt can, rebrand herself away from, bloody Britt Baker, and everything will be good.
What if they
It's
make that her
simple.
brand is that she's Bloody Britt Baker now? What if they go the complete 180 and say she's the doctor, so she likes blood?
Just put her with Chaos Project and Luther, and call it a day, guys.
No, you put her with
If,
Cody.
if her character becomes that she's bloody and bleeds all the time and just gets hurt all the time, and that's all she is, like, you could be a hardcore character and not bleed all the time. But if she's good, and it's not because they're women and they're bleeding all the time. I have no problem with blood in women's matches. It's that she is bleeding all the time. It's this one girl who's bleeding all the time.
I think my issue with this is also that she's a heel and she's bleeding like this. Like,
Yeah.
okay, it makes sense if she was like a cowardly heel and like she, accidentally bled or whatever and like she was afraid of it. But like, she plays into the fact that she's the baddest bitch in the block because of that match. But I feel like that would be more of a face thing where she's like, I've walked through the fire, I've been through the pain,
Yeah.
and now I'm not afraid. Like, if you're gonna do that, okay, go for it. Like, that's kind of what Anna Jay kind of did after coming out of the street fight. But like, to be heel and kind of utilize that also feels weird for me, I guess.
Yeah, I really do agree, because to me that, tough fire, that's a babyface thing. And it's worked to Britt's benefit, no doubt. She's become, immensely popular with the crowd. She gets great reactions, but she doesn't wrestle all that often. And when she does, a lot of the time she's bleeding.
Yeah.
And we got to get away from that. She's too young. She has too much talent for her to be stuck in that. And this feud with Jamie Hayter is going to be a big test for her. Can she make this character work outside of a title feud? So I think Jamie Hayter has a lot to offer. I'm worried about Jamie Hayter as a babyface. I'm wondering if Britt is going to be the babyface in that feud. But that's where we're going, so we got to figure it out at some point.
Oh God.
Where's Rebel fit into all of this? And Mercedes? I have no idea.
Rebel's not gonna be on TV anymore, is she?
I don't know. I think she has a lot of value because she is so good at acting and she does great character work. I'm not sure about her in-ring stuff because every time we see her wrestle, she gets hurt. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that like to offend, like as an offensive thing, but it's like she does. She dislocates a kneecap or all these other things, and I'm not sure where her training is. I don't even know if she's been training to be a wrestler or continue her wrestling career. I would like to see her do something. I would love to see her turn on Britt Baker. And maybe join Jamie Hayter, maybe join Mercedes Martinez. I don't know. But I think that's a long time coming. Because Britt Baker is horrible to her. And, Rebel can be, the number one conspirator, the leader of the conspiracy.
It is very interesting. I hope that they can at least kind of do something with her, even if they put her with somebody new. Not for her to be like a what is the word? I'm like a habitual manager, I guess, but like
Yeah.
I feel like she does have value as like a buddy. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think. Maybe if they put her with like Layla.
Yeah, they could have her break away from Britt and Britt like fires her or kicks her out or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could have her go through the AW roster and try to find
That'd
like
be
a new
funny.
person.
Remember when Billy Kay had the
The
resumes?
resume, yeah.
Yeah.
We could do that because Rebel would be great at that. She's similar in her wrestling style and her character ability to Billy Kay, and Billy Kay is phenomenal. And
We
if
love
you don't
Billy
think Billy
Kay.
Kay is phenomenal, I don't know what kind of wrestling you're watching, but it's not good.
Oh my god. Okay, well, I think we will end with the Billy Kay Rebel comparison. That sounds like a good place to end. Um, Kylie, where can the people find you? What do you have going on?
You can follow me on Twitter at Fuller_Kylie. I live tweet shows. I tweet a lot of stuff. You can find me every Monday on the bodyslam.net YouTube channel. I do the Code of Honor podcast I mentioned earlier. With my co-host Kyle, we talk Ring of Honor history, Ring of Honor news. We just did an interview with Carrie Silken, who's a former owner of Ring of Honor. It was a
Wow, former,
fantastic
that's weird.
interview. Uh, it was a fantastic interview. You can see me. I do a lot of random stuff. Like I do random post shows and random interviews all over the internet. To keep up with everything I'm doing, I'll post it there. You can find me.
Yes, and you guys can follow me at Jaychele Nicole on Twitter. I'm on the Late Night Grin YouTube channel and their whole platform. You can subscribe to Late Night Grin for $1 a month, latenightgrin.com. Lots of great content. I do a show with Joe Holpert called The Free Agent Show, and we just recently talked about Jonathan Gresham. We've done shows on Tony Storm, Athena, Swerve before he went to AEW. And yeah, you guys can check those out. I also have my own Patreon, patreon.com/Jaychele, if you want to check that out as well. Exclusive content over there. I have my own YouTube channel, youtube.com/C/Jaychele Nicole for interviews and Revolution prediction show. There'll be more content coming over there soon, but you guys can just follow me on my social media for more information on that. I'm also writing for SE Scoops, and I will be soon creating a plan for WrestleMania weekend coverage. So if you want to find out about a bunch of WrestleMania weekend shows from WrestleCon and the Collective, but you don't want to watch them, leave that to me because I'll mess up my sleep schedule for you. So yeah, that's all that we have for this week of Demo Divas. We will be joining you now from this slot Sundays at 5 p.m. from now on. And we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you guys all soon.